everything that we do is geared towards, are we better than we were the last game? We played at Notre Dame, who I think is a great team, and we end up winning by, I think, 10 or 11. So the gap that night between us and Notre Dame was like right here. I tell our players, do you really think that Notre Dame is going to stay here between now and March? No, they're going to get better. But if we work even harder, by the time March comes around, the gap's still going to be the same. So every day for me is just an incessant, we got to get better, we got to get better, we got to get better. We're not good enough yet, we're not good enough yet, we're not good enough yet, either individually or as a team.
That's what makes his team so great. They are never satisfied. Sometimes when I read the headlines about the UConn women, I lose track of which record they are breaking and which record we're keeping track of because there's so many. This one today, though, very clear. The UConn women's basketball team now own the longest win streak in NCAA history, 91 straight. And you have to figure they're going to get to 100 straight. Think about that. This team doesn't have one All-American on its roster this season. The last 10 seasons, they've at least had one All-American. The last time they broke this record, or at least broke the record of 90, they had Maya Moore. She was a 4-time All-American. That was 7 years ago. They went on, they lost to Stanford at Stanford, so the record was stuck at 90. UConn, though, they haven't lost a game since 2014. There's only one player on this team who was on the roster when they lost that game. So all this team knows is winning. Meantime, there's no more Brianna Stewart on this team. So a lot of these youngsters have had to step up, especially the one you're seeing right here, Katie Lou Samuelson. She had 28 points in this game. UConn ended the first half on an 11-0 run. SMU really had no shot in this one. Let's go third quarter. UConn, they're up by 28 points at this point. Kia Nurse passes ahead to Sanaya Chong. She gets the layup to go. And then check this out. I've watched the UConn women do this in practice. Outlets pass, moving the ball, never resting. UConn wins 91 consecutive, longest win streak in Division I history, men's or women's. Here's Katie Lou Samuelson.
It's really cool. It's kind of surreal because I remember when the streak first started, and then I wasn't even a part of the team, and I never thought that 2 years from now that I'd be kind of in the team right now and being a part of it. So it's really cool just to think about.
You walk into our practice facility and you look up on the walls, you can't hide from it. You can't go, well, you know, what difference does it make? Well, just look around. It makes a big difference. There's a lot of people whose names are on that wall that worked really, really hard to make it possible for you to be here right now. And there's this sense that they have, like, I don't want to be the one that screws this up.
It's funny, the script here says, would you believe that the Huskies have won 138 of their last 139 games? And I feel like
crazy.
I know, but I do believe it, though. I believe that 138 out of their last 139. Their only loss at Stanford when their last streak ended at 90. Now 91 straight. And according to Elias, it's the longest one-loss span of games in Division I and professional basketball history. Our Holly Rowe witnessed history up close, working the sidelines for the game today. She joins us live from Dallas now. Holly, you know, Gino Auriemma didn't think people were paying attention to the streak because they were breaking their own record. But, you know, I talked to some of those UConn women this past week, and my impression, Holly, was they cared about breaking this streak. What was being said in the locker room after this one?
Well, I spoke with Katie Lou Samuelson, and she had a great perspective. You know, she's never lost a game as a player at UConn. But at the beginning of this season, a lot of people were saying this would be the year the streak would go down, that these players were not going to be of the same caliber as Brianna Stewart and Morgan Tuck and Mariah Jefferson from last year. So to their credit, they escaped a very close game in their very first outing. They won by 2 points, and from there, they've only gotten better. And so Katie Lou said, you know, we didn't listen to people when they said we were going to be the ones to lose lose the streak, so we're not going to listen to people now when they're praising us. And that's kind of the feeling for this team, is they're just trying to go about business as usual and get better every game.
And they certainly came here with a business attitude, because SMU only scored 2 points in the first quarter. That's the fewest points UConn has allowed in any quarter during this 90-game, now 91 unbeaten streak. But Holly, you know, we call you the queen out there in the field. You have seen firsthand UConn win national titles, break records, Diana Taurasi, Maya Moore, Brianna Stewart the last 4 seasons. But what was your takeaway from this victory today for UConn?
Well, it's really special because the first time I ever went to a UConn practice was in 1999, and I left there blown away. I actually got chills at a practice because of how hard they went. And that culture and that standard is still alive and well today, all these years later, nearly 2 decades later. They carry on that culture of how hard you have to play on every single possession. So today, you talk about the 2 points in the first quarter. Well, the first points for UConn were scored off an offensive rebound, a hustle play by Nafisa Collier. And then on the other end, UConn blocked 4 straight shots. They were not going to let SMU score. So that hustle, every single possession, is the tradition and the culture that UConn continues to live by, and they continue to pile up wins.
You know, Holly, I certainly believe you there, but we got to talk to Gino about possibly letting us air some of those practices, because they sound competitive and can motivate any of us. UConn, of course, has last lost November of 2014 to Stanford in overtime on the road. We will see if UConn can get to 100. That's our Holly Rowe. Well, the Huskies are winning by an average of 38.3 points per game, and only 2 games during this 91 game streak have been decided by single digits, with both occurring this season. UConn beat number 12 Florida State by 2 in the season opener, and then they knocked off Brenda Friese's Maryland team by 6 on December 29th.